Music. Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. We're so excited to see everyone. This is a lot of fun, and the last thing anyone needs is another Zoom call in their life. So we are going to do our best to make this the most fun Zoom call you've had all month, and money back guarantee. So if you don't like it, you email me and I'll give you all your money back. We're so excited you're here today. My name is Blake. I help organize this chapter of Creative Mornings here in Atlanta. And for those that have been before, you know that our heart and the reason we do this is to inspire and gather the creative community here in Atlanta. We just believe that's important. We think the creative class in our city needs to come together. We need to be energized. We need to be recharged. And then we need to go out and do great things for our city. So we're so excited that you're here and that you're joining us. We want this to be very interactive. We do not want this to be a webinar where you are silent and you're sitting in the back with your camera off. So please turn those cameras on. You are in a safe place, I promise. It's okay if you have kids, if you have dogs, you're gonna be muted. It's okay if your room is messy, you're in a judgment-free zone. We wanna see your faces though. There's a reason we stopped doing our really nice live stream in a studio and we switched to Zoom, and that's because we want to see your faces. It's hard to have a community event when we can't see each other. So I encourage you, turn on your camera. It'll be more fun for you. And so we also want to get started with our chat. So everyone knows there's a chat feature. You can drop in some comments. And to warm up this morning, to get us going with some interaction, I want to know, how's everybody feeling? If your mood was a forecast, what would it be? Would you be bright and sunny? Would you be slightly overcast? Would there be a chance of showers? Drop it in to the chat. Let us know how you're feeling right now. I'm gonna say bright and sunny, like 75 sunny, you know? Slightly overcast, but zero chance of rain. Nice, Tiffany. Lots of sunny. It is Friday. It's almost a holiday week too. All right, 68 degrees, perfect. I have a hurricane, Elbot. Come on, we're gonna change that. You got a dog in your lap, man. I have a hurricane. That can't be possible when you're petting that cute dog. Well, a couple announcements before we get started and dive in. We have arranged for free coffee. So if you are in the Atlanta area, from now until noon, you can go to Refuge Coffee. They have two locations. One is in Auburn Avenue and one is in Clarkston. And in fact, we have a team member down in Clarkston right now at Refuge Coffee. So Malik, see if we can pin Jen. There's Jen. Hi, Jen. Thanks so much for being on site at Refuge. Yeah, nice Vanna White impression. So be sure to go check out Refuge Coffee, get a cup of coffee on us. You can get coffee and a pastry between now and noon while supplies last, AKA while our budget lasts. So you can do it. I don't think we've run out of budget once. So go get a coffee. Go get a second coffee if you want. Tell them Blake said it's cool to get a second coffee. I'm sure that'll be fun. Okay, so I'm really excited about our first sort of activity and segment this morning to get us more warmed up. We have some very talented musical guests to perform for us. Windlow is an Atlanta-based folk pop duo of Chelsea and Jacob Hamilton. Fun fact, they met in Alaska and they have been playing music together ever since. And Jacob proposed at their first show. So pretty cool story. They just released a new song, Broken Glass, that they're going to play for us. So everyone, please welcome to the virtual stage, Windlow.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Blake.
What a nice introduction.
Well, this first song, as he said, is called Broken Glass. And as the story goes, we played at Creative Mornings, I think 2 years ago-ish, for the first time. And that morning, we woke up early, bright and early, and a little bit frenzied, and I knocked some stuff over next to the bed. And so that's where this song came from. And we actually have a whole blog on our website. You can go read the full story. But this is Broken Glass. Sorry for waking you up with the broken glass. Woke up in a hurry and I moved too fast. If I get lucky, maybe today will last. Into the weekend, we can work it all out. I need a reason not to twist and shout. Run up the walls until it all falls down. So it goes. Oh, you're such a mess right now, but it beats waking up alone. Sorry for waking you up with the broken glass. It's still my fault, I'm still moving too fast. I hope it's not something you can't get past. This taste finally worked its way down under your skin, down to the bone where the itch begins. Are you still with me? 'Cause I'm on the edge. Broken as a shattered glass, but it beats waking up alone. Round and round we go. Oh, you're such a mess right now, but it beats waking up alone. I've been repeating, I'm bleeding this one out. I'm getting better. Bears repeating, I'm not bleeding this one out. But if there's a hill you wanna die on, I'll meet you there. Broken as this shattered glass, but it beats waking up alone. Round and round we go. Oh, you're such a mess right now. Oh, you're such a mess right now. Oh, you're such a mess right now, but it beats waking up alone. Thank you.
This next song, like Blake said, I was born and raised in Alaska, and I just always pictured myself there, to live there forever. And it wasn't until I moved to Atlanta, in a big city, that my dreams changed, and so that's what this song is about. It's called Downtown. And I used to know what you wanted. A pretty face and bright blue rooms. And I'd have a seat on the staircase. You'd wash the dishes and hum this tune. Downtown, where the dreams that we made are still up for debate. Downtown, every scene at night coming straight from my mind. Downtown, where the dreams that we made are still up for debate. Downtown, every scene at night coming straight from my mind. And I've had this feeling for a while, the kind you try but can't ignore. I know we said and we meant it, but then the love became a chore. Downtown, where the dreams that we made are still up for debate. Downtown, every scene at night coming straight from my mind. Downtown, where the dreams that we made are still up for debate. Downtown, every scene at night coming straight from my mind. And when you're up at night, are you thinking of me? While I'm in bed, planning your eyes. mind.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Once again, we're Wendlow, as the sign says. Go ahead and look us up, and thank you so much for listening.
All right. Thank you, Jacob and Chelsea. That was awesome. I love it. Now, everyone should know you will be humming that song the rest of the day. It is very catchy. If you want to find out more about Wendlow, you can go to their website, Wendlow Music. We'll drop that down in the chat. And be sure to sign up for their email and get the latest information about their music. Thank you guys again so much for playing. Okay, now I get to pass it over to Malik on our team to give us a little housekeeping for this Zoom experience.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. I'm really excited to be here as always. Thank you so much, Wendlow, for that beautiful performance. It was amazing. So just a couple of housekeeping things. Hello to everybody that's joining us on YouTube. We are so happy that you're joining us. To our Zoomers that are here on the Zoom call, a few pro tips. You can change your screen name. As you can see, we all have emojis in front of ours with CMATL. Just click on the participants menu and click on more next to your name and then rename. Give yourself a cool emoji, give yourself a name. You can use Control Command Space if you want to add a cool emoji. Go by whatever you want to go by today. There's also different views on Zoom. So if you want to go to speaker view to see whoever's talking, you can click at the top right where you see view. You can switch from speaker view, and then you can also switch to gallery view at the top right. Occasionally we're going to force you into speaker mode, but all you have to do to go back to gallery mode is click that top right icon that says view. In just a second here, we're also going to go into breakout rooms. This is your chance to meet someone, and to all of my introverts here, my fellow introverts here, because I am an introvert to the T, I promise you, you can do it. Meet somebody new. It's going to be great. We'll make it through together. At the end of our conversation today, there will be a Q&A. You'll get to ask a question directly to Cara. So we're going to practice right now. Click on the participants panel at the bottom to open the participants panel, and you'll see a little blue hand up button. If we call on you, we're going to unmute your mic, and then you can ask your question. We'll remind you once we get to that portion of the event as well. But real quick, just let me see some hands real quick, if I can. Yeah, there we go. Elliot, yeah, April, Katie. Awesome. Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to need when we get to that portion. All righty, Blake, back to you, man.
Awesome. Thank you, Malik. I'm very thankful for him jumping in and helping. Andrew is on vacation this week, and so Malik has been doing so much. So thank you for everything this week, Malik. I'm really excited to talk about radical today because, you know, sometimes our themes are good. Sometimes they're like, meh. This one to me is like 10 out of 10. I love the radical theme. It's all about going big, going hard, doing something unique and different. And to celebrate our theme, we're going to play a little interactive game. This will be our first game show kind of a thing on Zoom, and I think it's going to work out. I'm feeling good. I feel like it's going to work out. So I'm really excited to do this. And I'm going to ask now Malik to cue up the music, and everyone get ready to play Radical Roundup. Huh? Look at that. You like that artwork? My daughter, who's 5, created this for today. Abby Jane, good job. If you're watching, way to go. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have 2 contestants, and this is a little bit of a mixture of like supermarket sweep, show and tell, and speed dating. Okay, so we're gonna have 2 contestants, and you're gonna get a chance to win a $50 DoorDash gift card. Each contestant will have 1 minute to accomplish as many finds as possible. So again, it's like speed dating and show and tell. One by one, you'll run and grab an item that I say. If you find it, bring it back and show it to the screen, and then you'll get a point. I even have an analog scorekeeping system just in case someone scores a lot of points and we can't keep up with it. I'll keep up with the score. So you'll get a point for every successful object you go and find. Now, they're going to get hard. So if you don't know you have one, you can say pass, but you're going to lose a point, and you're actually going to hear this sound. Maybe. Here it comes. All right, and if you get one right, you're going to hear this sound. Okay, so we're gonna have two contestants, and the way we're gonna choose is basically the first two to raise their hand are gonna be our contestants on the Radical Roundup. It's a chance to win a $50 gift card, so don't be shy. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Okay, Georgia is our first contestant, and Jess is our second contestant. So good job, way to click on those buttons quickly. Okay, well, let's start with Georgia. Malik, if you want to spotlight Georgia and go ahead and unmute her. Everybody welcome Georgia to the virtual stage. Hi, Georgia. Okay, let's unmute Georgia. All right. All right, once we unmute you, I think you have to click unmute Georgia. It'll be more fun if we can hear you. There we go. Good morning.
Good morning.
Are you ready for the Radical Roundup?
Oh, I think so.
Okay, so once again, here's how it's going to work. I'm going to read all, I'm going to say something in a minute. You have to find as many things as I say, one at a time. So I'll say one thing, you go look for it and find it. And if you find it, you get a point, and we'll move on to the next thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You feeling good? Okay, let me start the clock.
So I write these
All
down?
right. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The first thing to round up is something that starts with an R. So, yeah, you got to move.
Okay.
Yep, go. You're under the clock, Georgia. Something that starts with an R. You sure there's not anything that starts with an R in that stack of stuff right there? All right, what'd you find?
Let's say radio.
Radio. Bing, bing. Okay, next up, round up 4 quarters. 4 quarters. You're doing good.
I got 4 quarters.
All right. Next one, round up something pink.
Pink.
All right, right at the buzzer. Good job. You got 3 points, Georgia. 3 points. Woo woo. Everyone give it up for Georgia. Good job. All right, now let's go next to Jess. Where is Jess? Jess, raise your hand again so we can find you real quick. There we go. Let's go ahead and spotlight Jess and unmute her. Hi, Jess. Are you ready to play the Radical Roundup?
I am.
Okay. Your opponent got 3 points. Are you ready? She did really good. Okay. You got the gist now. We're going to restart the clock. This is a new set of Roundup items. So I'll give you a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Round up something that starts with an A. Ah, it does start with an A, but it's not an object. You got it, Jess. You can do it.
What starts with an A? What starts with an A? Let's see.
Album, artwork, Apple. You got it. If you weren't on a beach, it'd be easier.
An album?
Album. Okay, good job. Next one. round up a penny and a dime.
Okay. Collect coins, penny and a dime.
Okay, next one, round up something gold.
My chain.
Oh, okay, right at the buzzer. We'll give it to you. It's a tie. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a tie. Now, luckily, I prepared for such a situation. And here's going to be the tiebreaker between Georgia and Jess. You have 30 seconds to find as many toilet paper rolls as possible. Go. Georgia, you're back on in case you missed that. As many toilet paper rolls as you can find. Let's find out who's been hoarding. You still got a surplus back from March, don't you? Or we'll find out who shops at Costco.
Okay.
Okay, 10 seconds. Whoa, Jess coming in hot. All right, 3, 2, 1. Toilet paper down. Okay, contestants, come on back.
Okay.
All right, count them off for us, Jess.
All right, I have a lot. I don't know how to take out this camera thing, but this is 1.
Okay, we'll trust you. Honor
2,
code.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I go to Costco.
8. Okay, let's switch over to Georgia. Let's see how you did. If you can beat 8. All right, we're switching. Malik, can you switch over to Georgia? There we go. Whoa! you gotta count them for us, Georgia. That looks like a lot. Do you have 2 12-packs? It looks like it. We can't. I think that's 2 12-packs. Okay, Georgia has it. 24. All right, everyone, give Georgia a round of applause. Our radical roundup champion. Good job. Wow. I'm so glad you all tied and we got to do the TP tiebreaker. That was excellent. Okay, now we're going to go to breakout rooms. So this is a chance for you to meet someone new, perhaps have a little conversation. We are going to give you an icebreaker question to talk amongst yourself with. Now, we want everyone to be able to speak. So don't dominate the time. Give everyone a little bit, maybe a minute or so to answer the question. We're going to do this for 8 minutes. And the question is, what's the most radical thing you've done this year? The most radical thing you've done this year. Okay, everybody, enjoy your breakout rooms. All right, welcome back, everybody. Hope you had some good conversations. I was in multiple breakouts, which was fun. I just got to poof and disappear and jump into others. Hopefully you had some good conversations talking about radical things that have happened this year. If you were like me, nothing radical has happened. You've just survived. That's okay. My radical story was actually home improvement. We put in hardwoods on our 2nd floor. It's basically like going to Home Depot. It's very sad. Very, very sad highlight of the year. But we're so excited to kind of keep this show going. I do want to give some shout outs to some folks that make this possible. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. All right, let's see. Maybe. There we go. I want to give a shout out to MailChimp. You guys know MailChimp is the best. They have been supporting us forever. So they're a local partner for Atlanta Creative Mornings. They're also a partner on a global level. And this month they are sponsoring our theme of radical. So the trifecta, the hat trick. Thank you, MailChimp. They're our official marketing partners. And you all might have seen some of this, but MailChimp & Co. is a new initiative that they launched to work more closely with agencies or freelancers. If you use MailChimp for your clients, they are creating all kinds of resources and content to sort of get into a inner layer of help with MailChimp. So be sure to check that out. You can go to MailChimp.com/and co to find out some more information. So thank you, MailChimp. Also want to thank Basecamp. They're our global partner for project management and their awesome email platform. Hey, maybe you all have had a chance to check that out. So I want to tell you a little bit about this new guide they have called Shape Up. If you've ever felt stuck trying to complete a project, this PDF is a good chance for you to learn tips and tricks on how to get unstuck. So Shape Up is available as an ebook that's free. Typically you have to buy it, but for Creative Mornings attendees today, you get a chance to download that ebook for free. So we'll drop in a link to that in the chat. Next up, I want to thank Matchstick, a branding firm here in Atlanta. It's where myself, Andrew, and Malik work. Kind of our main thing is helping challenger brands clarify their message, stand out in the market. So if that sounds interesting to you or something you need, be sure to check us out, matchstick.com. Also want to thank CSpark Go. They are our social media partner. They've been helping us out for most of 2020, and they are incredible. If you need a gifted, experienced, expert set of people to help you in your marketing efforts, whether that's digital marketing, PR, social media, be sure to check out CSpark Go. We're so thankful for them. And then last but not least, KEH Camera, thankful to have them as a sponsor this month and a partner. They are the original camera re-commerce company. So KEH has envisioned a better way to support the passionate photographer. They've been serving the community of photography since 1979. They're the largest curated market for field-tested, expert-grade photo and video equipment. So thank you, KEH Camera. Be sure to check them out, keh.com. Okay, I think that's it for sharing my slides. So now I'm going to go through a couple more announcements just before we get into the interview. We have a field trip coming up, which will be a craft and chat lantern making field trip with Chantel Ryder. That'll be December 12th. You might know of her from starting the Atlanta Beltline Lantern Parade, which is an amazing event. So come check out this field trip and learn how to make a lantern on your own. That'll be December 12th from 1 to 2 p.m. The event on our website is live. If you want to register for that, you can go to creativemornings.com, click on Atlanta, and you can go ahead and register. A couple more things. No December event. We take December off. There's just so much going on. We typically just don't have an event. So this is our last event for 2020. If you're interested in volunteering, or if you have a speaker tip, someone you want to see shared next year, be sure to email us, Atlanta@CreativeMornings. You can also follow along, go to creativemornings.com, click on Atlanta, join our newsletter, or follow us on social, Atlanta_CM, as a way to get updates for what's about to come in 2021. Okay, so I'm excited to talk to Cara today. I don't know if anyone has had a chance to see her TED Talk, but it is incredible. I am so excited to learn more about Cara and her story and what she's been up to the last few years. So let me introduce her. She is an entrepreneurial, humanitarian, and disability advocate. She was born in India, raised in Canada by a multi-ethnic family of Indian, Muslim, British Anglican, and Chinese Buddhist immigrants. In 2006, she was diagnosed with a rare muscle wasting disease called HIBM that leads to quadriplegia. Since then, she's used her platform to advocate for the rights and inclusion of people with disabilities. And as part of her advocacy work, she gave a talk, a TED Talk called The Beautiful Balance Between Courage and Fear that I just mentioned that was amazing. She also has a documentary that we're going to talk about. Her documentary is called Her Inescapable Brave Mission, which shares the same acronym as the disease HIBM. She worked in Ecuador for the United Nations. She worked for Dell in Panama. She did 10 years with the United Nations Children's Fund. We're so proud to have her in Atlanta. And I want to kick off the interview just hearing from her. Cara, how did you end up in Atlanta? You've been all over the world. So what brought you here?
The Shepherd Center, actually. Good morning, everyone. And before I begin, this is Cara speaking. I just want to do a visual introduction. I have green eyes and dark brown hair that's tied up. I'm wearing white feather earrings and a sparkly rose gold top because today's my birthday. Gotta wear sparkles on your birthday. I'm sitting in front of a black wall and a black piano that has white and gold decorations on it. My pronouns are she and her. So to answer your question, Blake, as to how I came to Atlanta, when I was stationed in Haiti with UNICEF, I had the privilege of serving there for 2 years after the earthquake. I actually came to Atlanta for a speaking engagement with James Shepherd, who is the founder of the Shepherd Center, a very famous rehabilitation center that works predominantly with spinal cord injuries. And we were talking about the rights of children with disabilities. It went so well that UNICEF invited me to speak at their annual meeting in New York, which was a much bigger deal than I realized until I got there and realized, oh goodness, I don't have a speech. And there's 600 people in the audience. Thank goodness for cell phones and typing on your phone. But the experience went so well, UNICEF asked if I would come and work here. And I chose Atlanta because it was more accessible than New York, but also because it's such a social justice minded city. I appreciated knowing that there were so many great causes and there was a lot of work to be done. So I thought I could be of value and use.
Yeah, that's great. So let's talk about the documentary. So when did you first have the idea to do a documentary of you traversing down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon? Because that's a radical idea. And that's even why we felt like you were the perfect fit for this theme. When did you have that crazy idea? When did it come to you?
It came to me in February of 2014. I had moved here in December 2013 from Haiti, and I was in a pub that's just in a hotel across the street from the Fox Theater in Atlanta with my girlfriends, Angie and Courtney. And I was talking about having had all these wonderful adventures related to the 10 different countries I'd lived in around the world and how cool it would be to cross the Grand Canyon. But knowing that it's not an accessible place, and by that time I was using 2 leg braces and a walker to get around, I thought, well, if I can't walk down, I could learn to ride a horse. And here I am having this, cockamamie dream discussion with my girlfriends over drinks at the pub. And they're like, oh goodness, Cara, seriously. They find me exhausting. But one of the women there, she said, oh, my daughter rides at Chastain Horse Park in Atlanta. Maybe they'll teach someone with a disability to ride. And so I made a phone call, actually first an email. And I said, hey, I have a rare type of muscular dystrophy. I'd like to learn how to ride a horse so that I can cross the Grand Canyon. And they said, well, maybe you should come in, have a chat. But that's how it started. I started taking horseback riding lessons in Buckhead at Chastain Horse Park with just an idea that I wanted to go and explore. That's how it started. Wow.
I love that you made the phone call, because that sometimes is the difference in like a radical idea coming to life. Is you had the conversation and you just took one little step and then it led on and on and on. And I'm curious, so you started to learn to ride. When did you decide to film it? And how did you go about that? Like from a funding perspective, how did you find a director? What do you do to start a documentary? Like, how did you even start bringing that to life?
That's a great question and a loaded question. So, you're right about making that first step of making that phone call. For me, my attitude towards this entire project and to life in general is try. You might not make it, but the only failure would be not trying. And as mentioned, even though I started to ride in 2014, the idea to make it into a film didn't happen until about August of 2015. So over a year later. A friend of mine by the name of Eric Weinmeier, who's the first blind person to summit Mount Everest, he's a blind adventurer. I was speaking at an event for his nonprofit, No Barriers. And I was telling Eric about who has done crazy adventures, wonderful big ones, and including in the Grand Canyon, that I was having difficulty with logistics because they offer a half-day mule ride in the Grand Canyon. And I'm like, I'm not riding a donkey. I'm a princess. I want to ride a horse. And you really need a wild Mustang. And Eric, the famous last words, 1, I've got a guy. And 2, you really should make this into a film. I mean, that's like Oprah Winfrey thinking your story is, valid. And so I was like, well, Eric thinks this should make a film. Of course I can make a film. Knowing nothing about filmmaking, documentaries, I even had to ask the question, What's the difference between a producer and a director? Like, that's what I'm talking, like hardcore ABC 101. And again, just that idea, I was like, I can figure this out. And the idea of fundraising actually happened that same evening, actually right after I spoke to Eric. I was getting ready to go up and speak at the front of the room, and I turned around and saw this gorgeous man, and who to this now is my husband, John. It's the night I met John. We were married, gosh, we were married the next July, and it was the day after our civil union, or that evening, I believe, that we had made a fundraising video using a very cool graphic company, and we showed it to our parents that night. So that's, imagine, the idea of the expedition happened 2014, the idea to make it into a film in August of 2015, and then the fundraising started in July of 2016. And really, to make a documentary film, if you're not a filmmaker, for me was also about money, because it wasn't just a question of needing to hire a film crew. I needed to bring in wild mustangs. I needed to, there's all the permits, there's all the food. You're camping. This is hardcore true wilderness. There isn't an elevator to say, I don't like it anymore. I'd like to leave now. You're stuck. You know, the only way you're getting out there if you don't walk out, which there, obviously I couldn't walk out, would be a helicopter evacuation. And as this planning started and we were looking at all the logistics, Harlan Tanny, our logistics manager, I've got a guy who Eric mentioned, he said, why don't we do something even more interesting so you can have a different view of the canyon on your way out? So we do horseback. I would ride on horseback in and cross it, but then to get out, we would raft 150 miles of the Colorado River. So it's 277 miles long, the Colorado River within the Grand Canyon. And we were just doing the lower half over 8 days. You know, me, the more adventure, the better. And I had whitewater rafted once in my life before, probably 15 years earlier in Ecuador. The fundraising, honestly, I thought would be the easiest part, because my day job with UNICEF and the majority of my career has been as a development director, fundraising for different programs. It is very different when you're fundraising for a film. And secondly, when you're fundraising for a personal project. I kicked my butt. Yeah, it was a very humbling, embarrassing, experience to go through. And I ended up, in order just to cover the expedition, which is really only a third the production of the full budget, I mortgaged my house and I maxed my credit card. So I've gone into massive six-figure debt, breaking the cardinal rule of, in filmmaking, never use your own money. But I didn't know any better at the time.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about the adventure and the journey itself. And for those that have seen the TED Talk or the trailer, there is a moment where things get really hard. But tell us about like the whole trip, and for you, after experiencing it, what was the most memorable part? Like, was there a moment that was liberating? Was there a moment that was difficult that you overcame? Was there a moment that just comes to mind as something that was super special?
Yes, loaded question again. So in total, it was 14 days. We had actually slept at the campground, Mather Campground, which is about a 2-mile walk from the South Rim. From the South Rim, the statistic is that for every 5 million people, and I believe it's now 6 million people who visit the rim, only 1% go down. It's a 5,000-foot descent, very steep path, very narrow, loose terrain, lots of big rocks, large steps down. And I'm not talking like nice, smooth steps. I'm talking they've used a chunk of wood or cut out of rock to make these very large, oversized steps to get down. There are no barriers. There's no handrails. You fall off that edge, you're goners. One thing that happened when we rode in and arrived at the South Rim before starting to descend, I looked down and realized in that moment, I have a severe fear of heights. How I never realized this before was mind-blowing. I am shaking, terrified inside, saying, I don't want to do this. No, like, what have I got myself into? No. But imagine, not only do I have a whole film crew and a team, wranglers, horse whisperers, who we bought from Utah with 5 wild Mustangs, and my horse trainer here from Chastain Horse Park, Kelsey Rayner, was along. My husband now, John, was joining the expedition. My parents had flown in from China. They live in Shanghai, to be there to see me off. So I was having this internal radical discussion with myself saying, you fear for your life. You don't know that you can do this, but you have to. So in that moment, it was very much get yourself together and focus on the things you can control. Very quickly as we began the descent, and I was so terrified, I'm staring up into the clouds because I couldn't dare to look down. And all the film crew, you know, they've got their walkie-talkies, like, what is going on? What is she doing? They're wondering, what is this shot going to do for us? She's not engaged. All I could do was focus on breathing. And very quickly, there one of a very large step that the horse went down, Sheriff was the name of my Mustang. I wasn't in the right position in the saddle. And remember, I'm on the verge of quadriplegia now. Back then, I had very weak core strength, and I did not have a lot of leg strength. I had no hamstrings, no ankle muscles, no no calf muscles. So very little keeping me in the saddle. And I flung forward and smacked my face on the front of the horse. The helmet was pushed up. I ended up with an apricot-sized hematoma, which is a bump. Basically, the blood, thank goodness, the swelling came outwards rather than going inwards into the brain. Not only was it painful, for everyone is, what do we do? Remember, this was the first of 12 days. In the first couple hours, we still have another 3 days on horseback and 8 days whitewater rafting over some of the largest white rapids in the country. And again, I think that, yes, it hurt, but the euphoria of we made it, you know, that whole like, just try and make this expedition happen. For me, I'd already won. I was there. And everyone was so committed. Everyone was in it that there was no choice. There wasn't even a discussion, really. You can have that internal, you know, dialogue, but it really wasn't a question that we would give up. And I also was depending on others. They were in charge of security. They had the final call. I think when you delegate, for someone who's a control freak and perfectionist like I am, you know, was the best decision I made, was to let other people decide really if we had to pull the plug. We continued the descent, which took a total of 10 hours. Day one was 12 hours in the saddle. I was the only one riding. Everyone else was walking. So you can imagine their poor feet, exhausted. We made it to the base of the canyon. The next couple of days across to the other rim, there were more injuries for myself. Both of my feet were sprained in the stirrups. And then we arrived on the beach to go down the whitewater rapids of the Colorado River. You know, for me, you asked what was like one of the highlights. Honestly, it was day two. We were just sitting around having breakfast, laughing and telling jokes. And everyone was in such a good mood because having survived what we had, and there was the risk of, especially my death, we were just elated. You know, it's that gratitude for life, gratitude for being together, gratitude for being in one of the most spectacular places in the world. That is why it is a natural wonder of the world. The Grand Canyon is over 1.2 billion years old and beautifully changes color. I mean, what more can you ask for? You know, cocktails, sure. We had a little Irish whiskey with us. So, you know, we were set. And good friends and good people who were there for the right reasons. So for me, that probably was my greatest high. And the low was an accident when somebody else got hurt. And it was along the river. And Roy, who was my safety kayaker, after doing a huge rapid, and I'm not going to give all the details because it's going to be in the film, and I'll want to save it for you. But he's okay. But for me, there was a shift. There was a shift from woohoo, yay, we've made it. Because the river part for me, I'm a water baby. I grew up swimming, even though I couldn't independently swim very strong. And they did have me run a rapid, meaning be in the water, going through a rapid to feel the sensation because Lava Falls is so big. I felt very comfortable and safe. And it was more like the vacation, the celebration part. But when someone else's life was in danger, that click was, look what you've done. Like, of course, everyone signed up for this. This is what they do for a living. But I felt the toll and the responsibility, the fact that someone else got hurt, even though I had nothing to do with the accident. And that really puts things into perspective when you have these great ideas and doing something so radical. And I lived with that for a really long time. And obviously rewatching the footage, it's very humbling. And I'm just so grateful again that even though it's what they do for that, they would agree to be a part of my journey. And it really isn't my journey anymore. And it wasn't just my transformation. It was all of our transformation. And just to give you an idea of how high tech the film crew was, and all of this credit goes to Harlan, Justin, Matt, Chad, and Blake, our film crew. We had a huge motorboat. We had a crane off of the edge of a 25-foot boat. We had Matt Mandaloni, who did our sound. Was a very famous sound guy. He actually was a professional free climber, a rock climber. So he would free climb with all the equipment on his back up a 40-foot straight climb and then set up zip lines. So some of the perspectives and the shots we have are incredible. Blake Howard, you're Blake Howard, our Blake McCord. You're stuck with me, Blake. Blake McCord, he he carried the 4K, 5K cameras. These are massive. I mean, he's a very strong, strapping young man, but still, these are very heavy cameras to maneuver, and it's such a difficult environment. So those were some of the highlights, the high and the low, if I had to pick just one.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's such an incredible journey. And there's a shot at the end of the trailer of you floating down the river. And that shot, like my jaw dropped watching it. That moment was that the moment you were sort of testing out the waters? Was there something that happened? Tell us more about that moment for those that have seen it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, as you said, it's a shot. You see the sides of the canyon and almost looks like a lake. It's an area on the side where the water is quite calm. I am wearing a dry suit, but there was a rip in the foot. So it is ice cold water. This is April. It is freezing. And we also had to wait for the sun to set for the lighting. So I was in the water for about half an hour. We actually went in the water, Roy and I, to do simulations of a safety rescue. So if I was to be thrown from the raft, how would he connect to me and then basically pull me through the raft to get to safety? And initially, we thought I could hold on to his kayak or grab a paddle, but I really didn't have the arm strength, to extend my arm. You see, I have to manually extend my arms like this. I just don't have that shoulder muscle anymore. And my fingers, I'm starting to lose function in my fingers. So my fingers weren't strong enough to hold on to some of the hooks. So really he just took, and I'm forgetting the name that any climber or camper probably knows of, those silver hooks that you can push in, and somebody knows, help me here. A silver hook basically looks like a massive fishing hook. He would hook onto my jacket. Oh yeah, I love you guys. Carabiner, am I saying that? Yeah,
Carabiner.
Love you all. And would hook that onto me and basically drag me out of the river. The other thing is, because I have complete foot drop, my feet are like dead stumps at the end of my legs. And so I was wearing my leg braces that keep your feet up, but with that, I was wearing my tennis shoes. And so as a result, I was floating on my back, which is the complete opposite way of which you want to be in the river, especially if you've been thrown. You want to go face forward on your stomach so that you can see rocks, see where you're going, and navigate and really try and swim to get to safety, or at least get safely through the rapid. We didn't know that actually I would not only go in on my back, but backwards until we did the swim the next day. But it was really the moment that shot that you saw was, again, although I was freezing and I hate the cold, very bad Canadian here, it was blissful to be just present. I think mindfulness is a challenge for me. I'm a very hyper person and want to be everywhere. I'm thinking 10,000 things an hour, but I wasn't anywhere else. And my mind wasn't anywhere else except focusing on the pristine, beautiful sky, the majesty of where we are, and the gratitude of the people that were there. And Roy in particular, whose job was to save my life. Pretty amazing sensation.
Yeah, that's great. I want to know more about, what do you hope happens when someone watches the film? And then also maybe wrap into that, what's next for you and for the film?
When people watch this film, the story that they're going to see, I hope really trickles into their life, or knowing that it's possible for them. And it's really one of transformation. I have so many adversities in my life, from a very difficult childhood. A mother took her own life by suicide, very challenging years in my 20s. So to do this expedition and make this film for me was such an enormous sense of accomplishment, because I realized I can do anything I put my mind to if I just try. I made a plethora of mistakes. This was not a, Amazonian woman, sexy, beautiful, charging through Grand Canyon or effortlessly floating through the waves. No, it was gross and messy, and I was not coming out of my nose, and I'm crying and choking on water. And, I had two fantastic black eyes and this massive bump in my head, which we named the Klingon, for all these Star Trek warriors out there, fans, like pretty nasty, but you know what? That's life. And so I hope that people understand that the good, the bad, the ugly, the messy, the dirty, that really does lead to the most joyous and wonderful experiences that we can have if we allow ourselves to say, not perfect. It wasn't perfect. I'm not perfect, but it was really effing awesome, And what's next? I'm writing my memoirs. What's next is still continuing to fundraise to get this film made. They talk about documentary films taking anywhere from 5 to 10 years to be made. And I thought everybody was joking. No joke, dude. We're actively fundraising. Our goal is to have the expedition, or probably the film, finished by the end of this year to premiere in January 2022. During the pandemic, I hired an amazing female director, Celia Anaskovic, who's a really dynamic young filmmaker who herself has a disability. She's never really talked about it until now. We've been very intentional about having people with disabilities and people of color in front of and behind the camera. So making the film and then sharing it with the world. And students, I want young people to see this, because I think when you can see yourself on the screen or in mainstream culture, you do believe in more possibilities for yourself.
That's awesome. I love that. I love the story. I love your message. It's so powerful and so good. And let's open up the floor now for some questions. So as a reminder, you can click on the raise hand button and we will spotlight you and unmute you, and you can ask your question directly to Cara. So if you have a question, go ahead and raise your hand, click the raise hand button.
Ooh, there's lots of people.
And then once you raise the hand, we'll call on you and you can ask your question directly. I've been able to hog all the questions, which I'm thankful for, because I'm so excited about this documentary and everything that you're doing. I mean, the moment you mentioned the documentary and I watched it, it was just fascinating. I think the way it's shot in the trailer, the story, all of it is just such a powerful message, especially for the disability community that doesn't always get the attention and the spotlight and the attention that it really deserves. And so I love that.
Yeah. Which you would think would be different, because people with disabilities are the largest minority in the world. And we're the only minority group that every human being can join at some point in their lives, even if for a short period. So it really is one of the most universal life experiences. And you'd think with so many of us, we'd be all over the place by now.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Ellen. Malik, if you can spotlight Ellen and unmute her. Okay, and Ellen, you'll be able to ask your question directly.
Yeah, how can we continue to follow your story?
Hi, Ellen. Lovely to see you this morning. Well, thank goodness for social media. So we use that. We're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. There is a website for the film called HIBM The Film. We'll put a link for it in .com. We'll put a link for it there. And that's probably the best way to follow until it comes out. Obviously, we'll be making a lot of announcements, and I hope we'll be doing some screenings all over the world, not just here in Atlanta. Thank you for asking.
Okay, looks like Katie has a question, so let's go over to Katie. Oh, you're muted, Katie. You'll have to click unmute.
Am I unmuted now?
Hi,
Better?
Katie. Good morning.
Hi. How are you? Thank you for being here. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, I was curious, who are your role models in terms of like courage and bravery? Who inspired you?
You know, I have been blessed with a lot of women, strong women in my life growing up. My father's three sisters, my great aunt, my grandmother, my Indian grandmother, my mother's sister, my Auntie Cheryl. And I've been really blessed also with, I choose strong women, I guess, as friends, because I feel so insecure and weak sometimes. And I felt lost, trying to find myself and my identity and my self-worth a lot growing up. There's an amazing woman here in Atlanta who just, I think her name is Kimberlyn Bolton. She's the executive director of a nonprofit called Reimagine ATL, who works with high school students to train them to work in the creative media industries. You know, we're training the next generation of storytellers. Kimberlyn, I had the joy of working with her all of last year on a weekly basis. And that woman's courage to dig deep and do the work. She's probably one of the most influential people in my life to this day. And one of the reasons I stayed in Atlanta is my Jewish mother, my beloved friend, Ina Drelick, who's such a powerhouse in being no nonsense, being who she is, and calling me out on my shit. You know, she will say, smarten up in the moments. And I'm so grateful for that, because I want to always be better and do better. And I think we could all use a little dose of humility sometimes and realize that we can do better and be better if we're paying attention to the way we speak and the way we act. So, and young people, the Gen Z kids who we work with through Reimagine, they're so bold, and their belief of what is right and what is wrong and what they want and what they stand for, I find it so commendable. You know, I was very clear when I was young what I wanted to do. But when it came to speaking up for myself, I don't think I was there yet. I'm there now, for sure. But yeah, young people, I think they're fantastic. It's a great question. Thank you, Katie.
All right, we've got one more question we'll take and then we'll wrap. So let's go over to Jordan. We'll unmute you.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, Jordan. Cara, we were in a breakout group and then all of a sudden everybody disappeared.
I know, I got sucked out of it.
You were right in the middle of telling me about your dining room. I know this is a very random thing, but you said that was the most radical thing you did this year, was paint your dining room so dark with those beautiful pictures. So can we hear a little bit more about that and the inspiration on your home?
You know, we painted the dining room black. I told my husband, just trust me. And we've just painted a huge wall in our living room black. And when I tell people, they're like, whoa, you know, like I'm some dark person. I love, you know, contrast. And I'm a huge fan of the thrift store or secondhand shops. We go to Habitat for Humanity. Restore is a charity shop here. And most of these pieces actually are all from there. I love the idea of finding treasure and the search for it. And the fact that it's at a discount price rocks my world. And that the fact that the money goes to charity, I mean, I always think one of the greatest ways for me for self-care is community care. So I'm—
yeah, and it's recycling too. Reuse and recycle.
Yeah, the artiste in me has come out a bit. I don't have the beautiful natural talent of our singers who we heard earlier this morning, but I do love to color and draw. And I don't know, maybe 44, it makes you more brave and bold. And like Gloria Steinem said, you just care a little bit less about what everyone says. I want to paint my dining room black. I'm going to paint my dining room black. Yeah,
I love it. That's great. Yeah, big shout out to the Habitat for Humanity Restore. I love that place also. Cara, thank you so much for being here today. Thanks for sharing with us. I feel inspired and encouraged. And so just thanks for your time. So thankful for your message. And that's a wrap for today. And I want to thank everyone for attending. Thank you for an amazing 2020. Despite all of the hardships, we still had a lot of fun and figured it out. And so we're going to celebrate 2020 with a little outro. And this is a chance for you to dance. It is Friday, folks. Let's exit with some fun and some energy. You can put it in gallery mode and you can watch all of your fellow Creative Morning folks dance. So thanks so much, everybody. Hope you have a great rest of your week and a great holiday.